Did you ever wonder what's best arc welder in the world? Maybe you're looking for Fronius welder review, or you're looking for cheap Chinese welder review, and if you are, then you're in the right place, because I'm going to compare this particular red color Fronius machine, which is 250 amp AC/DC, to that blue machine, which is 400 amp AC/DC take from Artech. And obviously the bottom parts are water cooler units for TIG torches. I'm going to use exactly the same TIG torch on both machines, just change adapters and connectors in between the TIG torches, and basically have a look at the arc shots and all sorts of things that relates to these two machines. So first of all, why did I get Artech welder when I had the Fronius already? Basically speaking, Artech machine can go up to 400 amp, and my Fronius can go to 250 amp. Considering the type of work that I've been doing, I've been running quite a lot of stuff at 200, anything between 200 and 230 amp, and since machine is only 250 amp, that means that I'm running this machine pretty much at the top of its envelope as far as ability and the duty cycle goes. Whether the AC/DC machine from Artech at the moment set in stick mode, but once you switched over to your TIG mode in AC/DC, it can do up to 300 amp 100% duty cycle, so I can actually run all day long non-stop at anything up to 300 amp, and this machine will not budge. My very first experience with Artech wasn't the greatest. I bought a 210 single phase machine from them, and it exploded within 7 days. Nobody knew what had happened to it, so I basically phoned them up. They answered the phone right away, and spoke to the guys, and basically they couldn't understand what happens. They says, we need to see the machine. So they say, look, we're gonna have a courier at your place tomorrow to pick up machine, and they will deliver brand new machine instead of this one, and we will deal with whatever nonsense happened to existing one. So right off, the courier was there, picked up my machine, dropped off the new one. I was carrying on with the work, and they investigated what happened. So this is a torch that's going to be used on both machines, but basically they looked into it, discovered that during the transit the machine been dropped, and the little so this arc shot is actually from Artech welder, and it's just regular things what you would normally see on aluminium. Going back to that story with the welding machine, they picked up machine, and they told me that during the transit it had been dropped somewhere. So when I started using it, there is like a little transformer that wrapped through the paint and shorted itself onto the body of a machine, and causing that sort of explosion where, well, it just blew a little hole on the side of a machine. But because I had a new machine in there, I didn't have any problem. It's been replaced instantly. So the machine that I had, it lasted for about maybe like a year and a half, and then the screen went black. So I phoned Artech again, and the same thing happened. That well, not quite the same. They didn't send the new machine in, but next day there was a courier to pick up a machine. I dropped the machine, and before end of the week, machine was back with me, with everything working fine. So eventually I have sold that machine, and that machine went away. So this is pretty much, I mean, very regular stuff what you will see on aluminium. You could probably hear quite high pitch when welding with this machine, simply because the frequency was adjusted to about 200 Hertz. The reason being is because with 400 amp behind my shoulders, I can actually push to that sort of frequency, and you can see starts push to that frequency, and basically I can have much more concentrated paddle, because I have to say that at lower frequencies like 60 Hertz, the arc tend to wander around a little bit. So I just prefer that sort of settings. And the other downside of this machine compared to Fronius machine, obviously you see in the start. So occasionally Yeah, it may take 2 or 3 tries to start to run, but once it's running good. Whether it's Fronius, it never happens. It just starts every time. However, so going back to Artech story, I got this machine, and bear in mind that Artech machines come with 3 years warranty now. When my Fronius came at the time, only came with 1 year warranty. Then they extended to 2, and I believe that now they're doing 3 years warranty as well. But don't quote me on this one. So yeah, basically the machine that you see me welding just now, this 400 amp Artech machine, as I was doing this job, is broke down, and this is pretty much the type of filling you can achieve, if you do corner with a filling laying wire, and I prefer this sort of method for the corners rather than just making ripples. But anyway, the Artech machine is broken now. It's excuse the mess in the workshop, guys, but with the lockdown for coronavirus, I just can't get rid of rubbish anywhere. So I'm struggling with that a little bit. But as I said, I put the machine away and I switch over to just basically to my Fronius, and running at 215 at the moment, which is fine. On the corner joint with this, it's sufficient enough temperature for 8mm aluminum, as you see me welding at the moment. So how do these two machines compare? First of all, as I said, you can have much more amperage behind Artech machine, because it can do up to 400 amp, and 300 amp is a 100% duty cycle. Whether your Fronius machine is actually much less. It's only 250 amp, and in reality you don't really want to stress it more than 220, 200 amp in the all day work. It really depends on the temperature as well. If it's cold outside, then 210, 220, it will work fine. But once you go a little bit warmer into the summer, then all of a sudden this sort of things will start to take effect as well, because the duty cycle actually calculated at 40 degrees C. I understand that some of you would prefer me to set machines exactly the same, to same frequency, same amperage, and compare them that way, but I don't actually think that would be a fair comparison. Not because one of them is better than the other, but simply because what's important is the final result, not the result how you got there. And to me, when I choose a welding machine, what I would like to know whether I can achieve result that I want to achieve from that particular machine. What I've done here, I basically put markings on a filler rod just with black fill pen at 12mm or half-inch spaces, and with the hope that you'll be able to see it in the arc shots, just to give you a little idea on how much of filler metal getting introduced in the weld puddle, just to give you some sort of reference point. This arc shot is from Fronius machine, and if you listen carefully, what you'll hear is a pitch of arc has changed. It's actually running at a lower frequency. It's about 120 Hertz rather than 200 as I was running on the Artech. And you actually need to lower down the frequency if you want to have slightly higher temperature on your weld. So because this machine is only going to go to 250 amps, I can't really run this machine at the same frequency as Artech, and quite frankly it doesn't need to be run at that sort of frequency. I could probably lower down the frequency on the Artech as well, but it's just because I can, and because there is enough power for me to do that. I just quite like how it's run on that machine. I have to make it clear that I'm not sponsored by any of these manufacturers, or I'm not getting any financial benefit out of discussing one manufacturer over another, so or comparing them. It just so happened that in my experience I have both machines, and I bought them for my own money. So this is the arc shot of a Fronius machine doing the corner joint on the 8mm aluminum weld, and all these joints are also welded with the Fronius. So you'll for some reason I just forgot to get a little close up on the joint, but you should be able to to see exactly what you need to see. I mean, in reality, if I would show you one joint made by one machine and showing you the joint being made by another machine, you won't really know the difference. It's really hard to say. Like, this is a joint by Artech, and it's pretty much, you know, on the par visually with the Fronius machine. As far as the any sort of the quality of a joint, I would say they're pretty much the same. However, you have much finer control on the Fronius machine over arc. You can really push off balances, and you can see clearer difference when you make adjustment. The Fronius has superb control over tungsten and how tungsten balls up, and just overall control. The tungsten lasts a lot longer on a Fronius machine compared to Artech, because with Artech it's just minute setting off, and it starts eating tungsten through, and so it's one of those things. And the same setting you can use on the Fronius machine, you can use pretty much on many different thicknesses, just adjusting amperage. Whether on an Artech machine you'll have to fine tune it to the thickness that you're working with. But as I said, if you were just simply looking at the welds, you won't be able to tell which machine, at least, you know, I wouldn't be able to tell which machine actually produced one or another. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of each machine. And as background music, what I'm going to do, I'm going to play a recording of a phone call I made to Fronius UK during just regular normal week.
Thank you for calling Fronius UK.
The very first positive thing on the list for Fronius, it's a very reliable machine. Yeah, I have several of them in the workshop, and never had any breakdown. Well, I had one breakdown on the Synergic MIG machine, but there was just one breakdown considering very heavy use. So what I can say, there is no guarantee that this machine will not break. However, it proved to be very reliable so far. The other thing on the list was adequate for a job. Yes, 250 amp machine, it is adequate for a job, considering that amperage that it can produce. So if you buy a machine that is not powerful enough for what you need to do, it's not the machine's fault. It's you for not paying attention to technical specification and the data sheets that manufacturer gives you. So you really need to understand exactly what you're planning to do, and also you need to make plans for future projects that may come your way. So you want to be able to not to run at the edge of your capacity. You want to have something up the front of you, or something where you can actually go a little bit farther and achieve something if job comes your way that actually require higher power from your welding machine. The next thing on the list is simple to set up. Yeah, straight out of the box you can plug it in and you can start welding. This sort of machine is extremely easy, and well, it's probably more designed for people with a lesser experience, because there is electronic take cares for most of things that needs to be done. It's literally, it's very difficult to make it. You have to go inside and make adjustments to make it actually go in any sort of bad way. If you follow procedure for setting up, you'll be absolutely fine. And that's about it, you know, as far as the good things about this machine. So non-standard, the negative things are non-standard cables. Well, you can plug standard cables in, you can plug any cables. However, you need to have special Fronius adapters, and those adapters cost pretty penny, considering the cost of regular cables, DIN adapters and so on that you buy from any welding supply. You can't get them. You just have to get them from dealers who deal with the Fronius, and as I said, they are expensive. Value for money, I think they're extremely overpriced, and that's the reason why I have in the positive things the line "They inflate your ego," because many people consider them as a premium brand, as iPhones or welding machines, and it's just silly. You need that machine as a tool to make money for your living. So being reliable, it's very important, but if you have to pay through your nose to get in that, it's not actually worth it, because you can buy 3-4 machines of other brands for the price of one Fronius machine, and that just defeats the purpose, because even with the Fronius machine you need to have a backup option, and in case one machine breaks down and you don't end up without tool in the workshop. So if you have to have another Fronius machine or something else, then your costs gonna escalate incredibly. So 3 years warranty, yes, now Fronius does offer 3 years warranty on their welding equipment, and the only thing is you have to pay for a courier to get your welding equipment to Fronius and to get it back. Considering welding equipment can be quite heavy, that can be quite costly as well. And normally, from what little experience that I have, what I know is that they need to get parts from Austria, and then by the time the parts arrive, it takes actually quite a while to get anything done by these guys. Technical support is absolutely atrocious. At the moment, I've set up this the little recording of a phone call that I made to Fronius UK, and it is ridiculous. It is actually unbelievable. After 10-15 minutes you still can't get through, considering how much money you paid for that machine, and you can't get hold of it. So if it does so happen the machine breaks down, all you're gonna do is listen in to all of this nonsense.
The unique and portable Fronius AccuPocket, the cordless welder with integrated rechargeable battery.
It is natural to think that the reliability of a machine may worth all of that extra expense that the Fronius is asking you to pay for the machine. However, I do not think that is the case, because even with the Fronius machine you still need to have a backup option. You still need to have another machine to back this one up in case it breaks down. So I made inquiry to Fronius UK about purchasing from them welding machine that will go to 400 amps. So it's exactly like what I bought from Artech, and the price I was quoted was 7,500 pounds. Well, there was some other pennies over that as well, but it's over 7.5 grand. For 7.5 grand, you just need plus VAT on top of that. 7.5 grand plus VAT. So if you would go in the longer route of Artech, you will get 3 machines for the same price, which is mean you can have 1 machine for working, 1 machine for a backup, or if you need to expand and hire somebody in to do extra work, and you have a machine available for that, and you can still have price of a welding machine to invest into other bits and pieces around your business. Let's have a look at the Artech welding equipment, and in the same way as I've done with the Fronius, I'm going to play the recording of a phone call that I made. What you need to bear in mind about this phone call is that this phone call was made during the lockout for coronavirus.
Good morning, Artech Welding.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Good. My welding machine isn't. So
okay.
I was wondering if you guys working, or you taking things back, or for repair, or what's
Yeah. What I'll have to do is get one of our tech guys to give you a call back. What's your name, please?
It's Sergey, Sergiy. What else do I need to say? I do not care how reliable the Fronius machine is, because what I know for sure is it will break down at some point. And when it will break down, to fix it, it's going to be the biggest nightmare. And I know that by paying less, I'm getting equally good product, because it is adequate for a job that I have for it. And most importantly, I have a service, I have a company, I have a business that prepared to stand behind that product. So let's go through a list of what I prepared for a Artech machine. 400 amp with 100% duty cycle as 300 amps. It's hard to beat. If you're doing aluminum, you can throw as much power into it, you can throw as much heat and energy in it as you want. It's unbelievable. Is it adequate for a job? It is definitely more than adequate for what type of work I'm doing. Industry standard cables, yes, I can get any supplier, any welding supplier, wherever I am, whether it's on the mobile side of things, or if I need to drive through any place and pick up something, I can get bits for it, no problem. Value for money, there is nothing to discuss. The machine is 3 times cheaper than equivalent from Fronius. Technical support is just amazing. There is nothing else to say to it. 3 years warranty, and what you also need to bear in mind that Artech pays for collection and delivery back to you. So again, there is nothing to discuss. Relatively unreliable, yeah. Once in every 1.5 years, maybe 2 years, because once my first machine broke down, proper broke down when I had this single phase machine, and it the screen went blank, and then they repaired it. No, I used it for next 2 years without any problem of moderate to heavy use, and I sold out that machine. I've sent it away for service before I sold it, and then I sold it to somebody I knew, and they're still using it, no problem at all. It is quite bulky, but once you made the proper welding table for it, welding trolley, then it's fine. You're just rolling on the wheels. There is no problem with any of that. It requires more skilled operator to set it up properly. Yeah, there is a little bit of that, but that what makes you a little better, that you will practice and you will have better understanding of welding processes and how everything functions within your machine, and how your machine is individual, and how you can adjust every fine detail in it. And also it just makes you more skillful as an operator, as a welder. So that is about it for this video. Hope you find it interesting, and hopefully it helped you in some sort of way. Thanks so much for visiting the site. Have a nice one.